fit underneath the legal limits,
okay.
and I can freaking fly it. That's the most important part. I can fly it. So they put enough engine and enough smarts in there to be able to compensate for my devious flying skills. Doubtful is actually the right word, but we'll
Doubtful,
go devious. Questionable,
yeah.
highly questionable.
Unregisterable. All right. Hey, everybody. It's
yeah.
CNM episode 113. Michael and I are going to talk about our 2021 goals. I'm coming to you live from the subarctic.
Our goals?
Where
we only talking about your goals?
Oh yeah, I can do that. This is the year that I will unfuck myself.
That's right. Thanks for that.
It's still dark, and it will be followed by increasing less darkness to then become dark again. So here we are. Where are you coming to us from, Michael?
I am in Henderson. It's 25 minutes from the Strip of Las Vegas, which I now realize I don't have to tell people what country I'm in or state. I am in Las Vegas. That's all that matters.
Hey, when you search it, there are other Las Vegases, but we know which one pops up on top.
That's right.
And talking about drones, we're talking about various things. Anyway, I would fly that thing over the golf course and get some great pictures and get yelled at.
Yeah, as soon as I feel comfortable, I'm going to have to change it because it doesn't work to what my hand-eye coordination remembers from the Xbox controllers. It wants to do one way, but it goes slow enough. It has 3 modes. Cine mode is the slowest mode, so that it'll fly smooth, which also means that it's like just slower. So that if the very first one I had is BAP. I've had as my wife is explaining, is like, you've had 3 of them. And at first I thought she was talking about another one, because technically I've had 4. The first one was a little bitty helicopter. God only knows, the very first day, puff of wind, it's over the fence, and I have to go meet my new neighbors. Knock, knock, knock. I'm sorry, my gift has flown into your backyard. The second one was one with a bunch of foam around it. I succeeded in slamming it into our brick house to break the foam. The third one was one of those DJIs, but it was a much bigger one. It was a gimbal. I had already been, somewhat successful. So, obviously this thing is going to be able to help me. The answer is no. It took so much time to build up. And my brother wanted to play with it. So, I gave it to him because otherwise it's a big thing. And he let a friend of his, who was actually a professional, mess with it. And they were off on the boats and had some great shots. And then they took it on the boat again and proceeded to dunk it into the Pacific Ocean, of which we've never found it again. So it's the third one's death. And then, so this is the fourth one. So far, I'm feeling very comfortable that it's going to stay alive, that it's going to be able to compensate for my mistakes.
And a DJI, I actually used that in my second Ian Bragg thriller.
Oh, yeah?
A DJI, but the top model, a couple $1,000 version.
This was not that.
Yeah.
So to clarify, I played with it yesterday, and I was so excited about the fact that I could actually fly this damn thing that I was like, who has a bunch of amazing cinematography opportunities sitting right outside his house, where he could do it from the comfort of inside his house, was Craig. So I had to call you up and go, dude, do you like drones at all? You need to get this. It's got lights. You can program the lights.
It doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah.
And here we are. We're actually going to talk about our goals for 2021, but what the wrap up of 2020. For me personally, my wrap up of 2020 is simply writing a book that I'll publish in 2021, and because everything else is already done. I've got a release coming Monday, and then a sequel to that is coming the day after Christmas. Both those books are already done, loaded, paperbacks loaded up, audiobook. The final stretch of heading to retail for Ian Bragg 1, that hopefully it will be in retail come Monday. I have high hopes because I've been going to retail for 8 days now.
Are we going to underscore high? You were high with hopes?
we're stoned with hopes because cannabis is legal up here. And then the sequel is already loaded and ready to go. The audio is already loaded up for the sequel, so to give it a month to get approval, because they said, hey, you need to get those in now to make sure they hit by Christmas. And I've got some other stuff going, a couple anthologies, and just stuff that's already front loaded, because you got to do this stuff ahead of time. You can't wait till December 14th to decide, hey, I'm going to finish this book and publish it on the 15th. It makes your life way too hard doing things that way. And I already have a bunch of promos for sales through the month. So December should be a very good month for me. What about you, Michael?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, you think about it, I have always been a person who just moves forward regardless of the season of what's going on. Obviously, like you and I've talked about before, we do a lot more pre-orders, to your point just a minute ago, where life becomes a lot easier when you do pre-orders and set them up and set them out. And occasionally we have a fire drill trying to get something done. But in general, I mean, we're still pushing forward through December, and then we have 2021. We do the 12 days of Christmas, so I sure hope the team has that, where we give away a book a day and kind of celebrate the holiday spirit a little bit from that direction. We push a lot of books out between Christmas and New Year's because we've seen historically that seems to be really good reading time. So we try to load that quite a bit. And so that's our December plans, is kind of going forward, recognizing what's going on within the month and making sure that we accomplish it. Now, we are seeing high cost, CPCs, because we were looking at going, why is this particular series not generating as much revenue? And so in talking with the marketing people, it's like, we're scratching our head and realizing we hadn't changed anything, but what had happened where the cost per clicks had gone above our max, which had reduced our spend. So we weren't spending as much. We weren't getting the clicks we wanted because we were barely, getting our clicks. We had dropped 30% in clicks and pretty much close to 25% in money. So it was a rough thing. So we're having to pay more attention during this time with cost per clicks. Historically, not including last year, that we were seeing where everybody was still selling high on CPCs till the middle of January. Now, going into 2021, what are some things that I'm looking at? Now, recognizing that we're much a bigger business than just the indie publisher, but from that perspective, I would say I'm looking at more resources. I'm looking at some, as you build your business, you have to start putting on so many hats that you should eventually be able to figure out which ones are you good at. Which are the ones that you create a business advantage over others, because this is what you do well. Then see if you can find resources to fill in some of those areas you don't do so well, but at least you know how to do. So hiring, actually, which seems obtuse, but you have a great market for it right now. You should recognize that while there are a lot of people trying to get into the market, you are already going to be at least more capable than 90% of them, because you're trying to reach out and understand the business of publishing, either through this podcast or the one with Mark Dawson, or any of a dozen to 15 other good ones that unfortunately I don't listen to either. And so that otherwise I'd give you names. Craig, can you, while you're taking a drink, what are some good podcasts people can pay attention to on the business side of publishing?
Okay, let me first thanks Lawrence, Elaine, Justin, Lyle, Layla. Yes, we can see your name for registering, so we can see who you are besides Facebook user. As far as what was the question about hiring people?
No, it's actually about podcasts, because I think that keeping sure in 2021 that you're bringing in the knowledge of what you need to do, bringing in the positivity. Because I was reading something this morning that really talked about the psychological aspect of just scrolling on social media. And from a psychological aspect, the chances of it being beneficial to you are almost zero. Even if it creates something called envy. We can't say envy is good. This is no Gordon Gekko. Envy is actually bad. It creates negative emotions inside the body. And I go back to when I did this, I had no social. I listened to no podcasts. I did it on my own, and I struck my own beat. I didn't follow, which causes, unfortunately, the mind to do psychological stuff like comparaitis. Is this book good enough? And by not getting on social or not paying attention to those things, you don't have those challenges because your brain has nothing with which to bounce that off of. So I was just asking, since I don't listen to a ton of other indie podcasts in my time, do you know of some to add to out there?
I actually don't track indie podcasts. I know people who do them, but I don't track them because I don't listen to them because I'm bandwidth challenged up here. I have my 200 gigs that I can, or actually it's 175 gigs that I can download each month, cost me just under $700 a month. And that's for base. That's without going over. I'm actually using my my Z Fold 2 as a hotspot right now because we're running so low on our MiFi data, and I don't want to get jacked $15 an extra gig for that. Like I got charged $2,700 back in June, $2,700 for a month of internet. Have a nice day. So I don't really listen to other podcasts, but what I encourage people on 20 books to do is you have to manage your business first, and your business is about you. It's about setting your personal goals, so you aren't quagmired in, oh geez, everybody else is writing 100,000 words this month, I have to write 100,000 words this month. Don't. You have to know what you are capable of doing and then do that. But understand, if you're used to writing 20,000 words a month, 21,000, 22,000, that's a reasonable goal, but don't go from 20,000 words a month to all of a sudden, I want to write 100,000. You'll set yourself up for failure, and then you will be miserable. Pushing yourself a little bit is great. And that's what we always encourage people. Don't sit and hide in your box and say, here, I'm so comfortable, I'm just going to stay where I'm really comfortable. Because you know where the opportunities lie? They lie outside that box. But not so much so that you pushed yourself into stress and near death, because you don't want to do that. You have to work within your capacity, but it also helps to push yourself a little bit. When you've walked a mile, those extra 100 yards feel pretty good when you finished them, and that's what we're trying to get to. I know, actually, Joe Penn had a couple really great podcasts lately on all of the things that apply to indie authors and how they work. And of course, I'd always recommend Mark Dawson's. You can sign up for his the SPF podcasts, which are all free, and you can look. I mean, they give you a whole synopsis of here's what this one is about, so you don't even have to waste or invest an hour of your time without knowing what you're going to get into. Unlike the CNN show where Michael and I talk, and you don't know what you're going to get. And actually, we don't even know what we're going to give you as we start. So.
Yeah. So another one is also the six-figure author. Sorry, that was tongue twister there for me.
Does she do that? Oh yeah. It used to be the Sci-Fi and Fantasy podcast, and now it's a six-figure author. That's Lindsay Baroker. And also, I have to say that my 5-minute focus videos that I'm doing pretty much each morning, those are resonating pretty well with people because they're 5 minutes. And it's a quick hit. We talk about some things. I really don't take questions because I've got my little PowerPoints set up there. So cool. You get a PowerPoint every day, and man, and you thought you missed the corporate world.
No, I have never actually thought I've missed the corporate world. So going back to something Lane, I thought envy was motivator. Actually, no. In general, envy is not a motivator. What the expectation is occasionally there are some people who can take the expectation of I can do 100,000 words in a day type of situation and go, that's possible. Well, I can maybe get 30,000 words, which I've never done. Right, 20 is my max, and I swore never to do that again. So I'm not one of those people who can do a bajillion words, and so I don't think that envy is actually the answer. I think just doing it. They say that the mind doesn't work on thinking about what others can do, but allowing yourself to work at what you can do. So if you're using creativity, which is not thinking about other people, that's where your brain is working best. So it, by definition, says that no, envy is not the best thing in the world. It's actually doing the creativity yourself. The problem is, success is usually wears coveralls and shows up looking like work. So a lot of people don't wish to do it because so you have to get the mindset around that. And then we find too many things which have been, arguably designed to keep us intrigued, which is social media. So, how many words are you typing out on social media? Now we could go through all of the different aspects related to how many people are actually feeling socially constrained right now, and social media is giving them some touch of reality. That's we're not going down to the specifics of that, but then you have to start looking at how much time have you written 1,000 words on social media? Could that have been in a book? We just need to understand what is the balance of life with all of this.
Yeah, and that's I got 1,200 words on Judge, Jury, and Executioner 11 this morning already, along with issued out I think the first $2,600 on the 20 Books Indie Grant Fund. So that's going well. A lot of great donations, and to the donors, you'll remain anonymous, but thank you guys. Thank you guys for stepping up. Thank you, Michael, for your contribution. And
So much for
it,
anonymous.
it goes to, well, this is us, man. it, it, it goes to a good cause. This is people hurting. I figured it'd be over by now. Everybody would be celebrating, having a great Christmas, but the whole world, your Christmas is going to be just you guys, your Hanukkah, your Kwanzaa, your celebration, Festivus, if that's what you celebrate. And
I celebrate my wife getting me exactly what I want, and it comes all the time. And all she has to do is look up and go, "That's nice, honey."
that's a
like
yeah.
this latest drone. You got another one? No, dear, you got me this for Christmas.
Yeah, that's exactly. That's us too. My wife complains rather vociferously on if I want something, I just get it. And generally, I don't want a whole lot of stuff. I mean, I've got plenty of stuff. I want less stuff. So my dad's sending me peanut brittle and cheese curds from Wisconsin. Wisconsin.
No, the
You want
peanut brittle, so
you,
good. Your
you
dad's
want
peanut
some?
brittle.
You want some, Wild Man? I know
Yeah,
somebody. All
yeah.
right.
I'll send some. Yeah, I'll take some. Hell yeah, I'll take some. I'll send you some spaghetti
Oh,
sauce.
oh man, I think we got that coming. Spaghetti sauce. This is it. Eating. This is what we've devolved into. Christmas. I want to eat something. Oh, yeah, here, have something
Oh,
to eat.
yeah, we could go off. So the damn air fryers have caught my attention because I don't want to. I finally realized what the hell they are. They're just convection ovens, really convenient convection ovens, right? Really
Okay.
tiny. Because I was trying to figure out the whole what do you mean air fryer thing, but so yeah, now I've started watching videos on. I mean, this is where my life is. I'm watching YouTube videos on the qualities of different types of air fryers and is anyway. So let's get back to this. So thank you very much, Chris
Look at
Fox.
what
I
we've
haven't. Hmm?
degenerated into. We have a question. Best to release a paperback 10 days before Christmas, sooner or later? Well, I have to ask. First, how do paperbacks relate to your sales? My sales, paperbacks are less than 5%. So when I release it is kind of irrelevant. But if you're nonfiction and paperbacks are like 50% of your sales, then how do your sales go through the year? If you don't have any sales established, what about your newsletter? Do you have subscribers that when you release something, they'll buy it? If you don't have any of that, then it really doesn't matter when you put out your paperback. I would say sooner rather than later, because then what? You know what? You'll know if it sells or not. Tell
Well,
people
the other
about it.
part
It's
of
here.
Yeah, the other part is there's not a chance in hell that if you release it 10 days that it's going to get out if you're using a POD because they're not going to be able to print it and ship it in
Yeah.
time. So
Yep.
go earlier if you truly want it to arrive by Christmas, assuming that that's what you want to do. Otherwise, the question to Craig's actually more intelligent response to all of that is, are you nonfiction? And if so, is this going to be appropriate? Is it a gift type of situation or not?
Then 10 days early is you ain't going to get there from here. Probably needed to be about mid-November for it to be available. As a matter of fact, I've got two different books. One releases on Monday, The Operator, first book in the Ian Bragg series. That paperback I published pre-order on Ingram, but published it live on Amazon. Amazon has already fulfilled 2 orders in the US and 1 in the UK. Mickey Cocker, congratulations. You were the very first person to buy The Operator, and UK shipped it within 1 day of when it went live. No kidding. So UK print on demand from Amazon is rocking. Now, the US, it took, I think, a week after that before it actually shipped, but 2 of them already shipped. So that's going pretty well. The second one, I'm just waiting on the final cover, and then I'll publish that one live on Amazon and pre-order on Ingram and get those rolling. But those aren't, I mean, they're going to be a gift that, hey, it's coming. But I also have 20 copies on hand that I'm going to send out next week to winners of a King Sumo that I did in my newsletter as just a reward. I'm not collecting their emails because I already have them. So only my newsletter subscribers can sign up for a chance to win a signed paperback of The Operator. So just something else. Try to keep those newsletter subscribers happy to be subscribing and not just give it away to anybody.
Well, that's actually feeds into the next question. Do either of you find that the open rates, click rates have gone up, down, stayed the same for newsletters?
Oh, hang on just a second. Let me swap that out.
Oh, you have things to do.
I'll have to. I have to say that my open rates have gone down just a little bit, but I think that's the competition leading up to now over the last month. The competition for inbox space is pretty significant. So I keep playing with my subject lines to try to capture their attention better, and put pictures. I put Aurora pictures right up front, so hopefully people can see those in the preview pane and say, "Oh, hey, cool picture! I want to read this." And then they get into it and get excited and see stuff for sale. So down a little bit, but I think that's seasonal and not endemic.
Sounds yeah, because not only do we have the whole seasonal aspect, we have the whole situation with the voting here in America going on, and people just giving up on their inbox with everybody spamming everybody,
and going on and going
yeah,
on.
So I'm still not looking forward to that. Yeah. All of that. So in general, I think it's been a little bit more tougher. I think it's going to continue to be tougher. There are certain massive companies that are really getting involved that have upped their game. A lot of them, in fact, have upped their game. So we're going to have some competition. But my feeling on this is not to get down about the competition. Competition is always. The question is, and so it's really to understand that, you know what, there's only 250,000 top spots, period. We've had more than 250,000 books in the store for years. So the competition is going to come, but it doesn't mean it's actually competition for your particular stories. I've noticed before our rankings go down and our money stayed the same, which means our money, what we're selling is still the same. It just means we have more competitors, perhaps in genres unrelated to us, like Christmas time. Children's books goes way up from rankings, so they actually push our books down, but we're still making the same money. So, look at it a little bit differently. Don't just look at it in rankings or whatever else or competition. So we see that actually decent money, which used to be in the top 30,000, is now the top 60,000. And so we have this situation. So that's applicable to 2021. But on the newsletters and everything like that, yeah, you're going to have to somehow up your game a little bit, or find, if is Instagram a new place? Have depending on what kind of genre you write, perhaps they've moved on from newsletters a little bit, and then they prefer Instagram or TikTok or whatever the latest social media is. So that here at LMBPN, we're trying a lot of them. We've done social. We've paid some. What is that? The social influencers. There was an effort inside the company to work with some social influencers. It didn't go so well. The results were unimpressive, to say the least.
You need Kim Kardashian to read your books, man.
Okay,
Naked.
when you get sheer quantity, that would do it. But the last I heard, she doesn't even open anything for unless it's 250,000. So yeah, no thanks.
You need to get that 16-year-old TikToker with 100 million followers. The fuck is that about?
Yeah, but they already actually know how to run the business. So you're not getting that for free. Okay, so new questions. 99-cent box set still a thing in 2021? Yes. Next question.
Yeah, that's a 99-cent box set, and actually still a thing in 2021. 2020 right now, I've got a lot of box sets. LMBPN has a lot of box sets for 99 cents going through Christmas, New Year's. It's a chance to give back as well as juice the visibility of these series.
They all don't work, by the way.
And get extra page reads and all this kind of stuff. My revenue over the last 2 weeks is up 50%. That's without any releases. And it's all with 99-cent box set sales.
Are you sending some of that filthy lucre here?
I'm giving it away. Giving 20 Books Indie Grant Fund. We're giving our lucre away. So that a good jump. And page reads are jumping. Today is a great day. Yesterday was not a bad day, and the day before was a great day too. So
did you have Wednesday? Wendy's your wife.
Yeah.
Wednesday, did you notice a big drop in sales?
Yes. My sales actually were okay. It's the page reads that took a massive hit on Wednesday. But my sales, because the way I did it and through newsletters and through promotions, none of those links broke. Because Amazon, you could still go there and buy a book. But geolinkers, those were all broken. Anything that went through any one of the Amazon web server systems, those were sucking.
So I wondered whether or not the reality was that we didn't earn a lot less because mine went down 20%, so it was
Hmm.
not insignificant.
Yeah.
But I do wonder whether or not it had more to do with the fact that the Amazon servers, because of sales and everything else that was going on, just pushed those updates to the side and just said,
No,
"Hey,"
no,
and then
there was an actual outage.
oh, there was. Oh,
Yeah,
didn't know
yeah,
about it. Huh, well, that
yeah,
fucking sucked.
yeah. There was a huge outage. So
Damn. And
it
Friday? I gotta go back and look at mine now. Friday too?
no, I don't think so. And I think you got the catch up, but by the end of the day, I was looking at numbers saying, well, it's not too bad considering the outage. And the next day when I got up, it had it had readjusted for the day the servers were out, and I had a good day.
I did have a
They,
good
they,
day or a solid day Thursday, but I'm trying to see because it looked like before I went to bed that Friday was also going to be, and I was wondering whether or not, of course, it was Black Friday, if we had an issue because of that. Yeah, it's
I think
down
my
a
sales
little
were
bit.
down a
Nothing
little
horrible.
bit on Friday, but
Yeah.
Wednesday they came up okay. Thursday were great. Saturday was great. Saturday's
Hmm.
today. Today is already great.
I was gonna say,
So doing
it's
fine.
great
Yesterday was
already. I declare it great.
I have the greatness is descending like new snowflakes. But so in 2021, I am not going to put too many box sets on sale for 99 cents like I did this year. I'll put them on sale for 2.99. I'm going to price them up. I'm going to increase my prices across the board in 2021 and just see what the market will bear. So that's what I'm going for in 2021 in regards to pricing.
All right. What is your answer on the traditional publishers taking notice of how indies do business?
I don't think there's any way they can't take notice because indies have been increasing the market share that they have taken, especially in the ebook market, which as the pandemic raged and Barnes and Nobles and brick and mortar stores closed throughout U.S. and the world, that now the traditional publishers were trying to compete in that marketplace, and they saw that, hey, there's only this much available because the indies have this much, and I think they had to take notice of that. Now, what did they do differently? I don't know that they've actually done anything differently, although I have seen TradPub sales of ebooks that were $4.99 or $2.99 even, and not that they're running $14.99 because they want you to buy the hardback. Because there was a paper shortage, there was a print issue, and all of a sudden they couldn't get the books either. So what's that leave them for a revenue stream option? And that's ebooks. And they're realizing that, hey, our $14.99 ebooks are not selling. So I've seen a lot of reasonable price, $7.99. I went and looked for, geez, what was it? Like an Anne McCaffrey book, and just the ebook, just out of the blue, not on sale, was $7.99 and not $14.99. So I think they are looking at that price model and saying we can make more money by making it cheaper.
Yeah, so my answer comes from having watched or been a part of a few events through Publishers Weekly that has, 142 traditional publisher people and three of us indies, if three of them are all belonging to LMBPN. So from some of those types of things that we've listened to here in the last few months, one of the things we do is recognize that they've been doing some of the same things, but they went from one time a month to 30 times a month. So they might do online, meet the authors. They were doing it one time a month. Now they're doing it 30. They're pushing their own email lists considerably more. They're pushing buy it on our website so that they keep the distribution income more so than say, hey, go buy it on over here. They're getting into Instagram. They're getting, as a much larger company, they're hearing what other large companies are doing. So they're following the Instagram, TikTok, and whatever model. So sometimes the answer isn't they're following indies, they're following some other large company, which happens to coincide with what indies are doing. So it's kind of hard to actually explain at that point. Now, on the pricing model, Craig and I have talked before about the fact that some of the big email lists that we do, BookBub, that they've been in there for now a year or two, and they've been pushing those things. So if you hadn't noticed that, you might think it's new. It's not new. Um, they are Open Road is a big competitor, and Open Road actually can make it look like it's one of the big five trads, when in reality, Open Road's the one marketing it for the big trads. So there can be some. So if you look at Open Road, they have a massive email list, and they're constantly doing thousands of books, including hundreds probably a week that they are promoting. And you can actually look at what their efforts are, what some of the tools, if you happen to know what the books are. So, go join some of them and go see what's going on. But Open Road is actually a huge competitor of ours. They're not a traditional publisher. They're merely a marketing company. And so you can look at it from that perspective. So there's, I guess my interpretation is sometimes we're actually too small for them to notice us, but because they notice somebody else, they're getting in the same spot, and we assume it's because they looked at us. The one thing I was listening to about 2 weeks ago, they were talking, this is a larger top five, and she was mentioning her and this other group of 30 different marketers that were just focused in a certain area. And I'm like, ugh, 30 people focused on this. I mean, holy crap. That was a lot of people.
And that's why I encourage people, build your own newsletter. That is where you're going to make your biggest impact. Time over time with each new release, the people that are following you, as opposed to casting thy bread upon the water and seeing what it yields. You're better off not throwing a lot of mud at the wall if you don't have to. So that's I have spent a great deal of effort this year in building my newsletter list and increasing the numbers in order to better control my own message and those people who are following me because they read something of mine and like it. So I've got, I'm up to over 11,000 now, and they're all organic.
And are you finding that it is helping move your needle?
It is significantly moving the needle. I send a newsletter every Monday, and if I hit a new box set on it, a new box set is good for 100, 150 at least sales. A first in series for 99 cents or a first in series that I make free, even though this is a book that's been out for 4 years, because there's thousands of new people on my list, I'll get 100, 200 sales off a first in series that I put. And other people, if I do a swap with folks, especially very specific folks in my sci-fi genres, then they're getting 50 to 100 buys off a 99-cent book out of my newsletter. So my people are looking at stuff and liking it. So if I recommend it, they're jumping on board. And it's good to have buyers and not just readers, even though I get the readers too, because you can see the rank jump and then you can see the pages climb as well. So all kinds of good stuff if you control that bit of your business.
And do you believe it's more important to publish in a series and complete it in a year, or simply continue to publish? I don't know if you mean continue to publish, like go beyond a year. I think the only reason that you continue a series is it's resonating and it's selling. So you could stop in 6 weeks if you can figure that question out.
I don't know why you would want to constrain it by and complete it in a year. As long as it's paying, you keep writing in it. And this is as long as you're still excited about writing it too. It's important to make sure that
willing. How many times have we had compatriots back in the 2015, 2016 that came out with a trilogy, it blew up, and they were like, I want to go do this, and they'd write something else, and by the time they get back to it, it was toast.
Yeah. And so as long as you're still excited, and I've seen people write that sequel that they weren't excited about, and the readers hated it. You don't want to lose readers. I would rather just, hey, I write 3 books. There should be a 4th, but I didn't write it. But it's better to leave them hanging that way than losing them, because you might lose them for all of your books. So write stuff you're excited about. But if you've got a series that you like the characters, I say keep writing it, whether like Judge, Jury, and Executioner. I've committed to 4 books, maybe 2 next year. And I'm working on the 11th right now. I'm excited about it. I'm writing it fast, 10,000 words in 3 days on the book, because it's easy to write. I know the characters. I know the scenes. I just paint it together, string the scenes together. I'll have 3 different tendrils. It works. So why would I want to give that up or say, hey, I didn't get it done in a year? I wouldn't constrain it by time. I constrain it by sales. If sales taper off to nothing, then you got to look at what is your payback for time. And this series, whenever I release a new book, this is an LMBAPN series, it's seriously juiced from book one all the way through the most current book. We get a
Mm-hmm.
huge juice in sales and a big revenue bump for that month. It's one of those, hey, life is good, so stop, keep doing what you're doing, and that's what we're doing. Series are cool.
If you had to go back and change one thing, I just got the Eminem song in my brain. Thanks.
Oops.
How you got started? What would it be?
Oh, hang
Oh
on.
goodness. The
There we go.
challenge with me is that I know that if I'd go back and I would tell myself, you must do this, I'd not even write. I'd be like, I wouldn't do it. It's just that one thing at that time in my mentality I wasn't willing to listen to, which was edit my books, edit my books better. You know, I wasn't willing to allow anyone to tell me what I could or couldn't do from that perspective, and it would have killed my creativity, which has everything to do with 50 years of issues with myself, nothing to do with the wisdom of doing the editing, or at least doing some editing better. And don't hire a guy that you have to pay through Western Express in some island in the middle of the Pacific when you figure out that you can edit, and you're poor and you know this, and you can edit better than he can. So that was another mistake.
I would say I needed all the lessons that I had to learn, some the hard way, some not so hard. So actually, I wouldn't change anything. I mean, yeah, I started my newsletter with my second or third book, but still, those sales weren't big until I did have the newsletter and updated my back matter. So I I
Your
needed to
dad,
learn those
you had
lessons
had your dad on your
and the
email
hard way.
list.
My dad, 50 copies out of my first 53. Way to go, Dad. Thank you. And sometimes you need to learn those lessons, and it's important to learn those lessons so you don't forget them. Otherwise, because you learn more from your failure than you do your successes. If you're just successful right out of the gate, guess what you learned? Not a whole lot. Just that, hey, people love me for me being me. No. There's something resonated. And if you don't know what it is, guess what the second book's going to do? That's right. It's going to tank. And you're going to be confused and not know what the hell is going on because you didn't learn anything from your first book. So, no, it's important to learn lessons, sometimes the hard way. If you don't have a whole lot of time, well, then I would say go over to 20 books to 50K, because there's a lot of people here who have learned a lot of lessons, and invest the time it takes to not learn those lessons yourself.
Yeah. There's a lot of that. That's always a hard one, because it usually certain personalities learn better from others' mistakes, right? Not what they did well, but what
Yeah.
did you make a mistake? It's actually easier doing it that way. But from the things that worked well, I think it was really putting the next product out, getting a little bit better each time, learning how to handle the mental issues that challenge you, the comparatives, that seems to plague a lot of us. Learning that somebody else is saying something bad about you, not because you guys are on the same wavelength on what you both believe is right. Someone else can believe literary books are right. They're criticizing your work. I'm a pulp writer. I learned that early, so I basically was able to flip them off and go, don't really care about your opinion. I don't write literary. And that literary versus pulp has been going on, as I've learned historically, hundreds of years.
Hundreds.
Yeah, hundreds of years.
They
Charles
consider
Dickens.
A. Conan Doyle, Edgar Rice
Yeah,
Burroughs, all hacks in their day. And guess who's
yeah.
not being read today? But those guys are. So, yeah, it's kind of funny.
So anyway, just long story short, there seem to be some great additional questions. So let's keep going.
Yeah. How do your 2020 goals and strategy differ for 2021?
Well, yeah, mine was easy. It was how to unfuck the company itself. Craig somehow decided to rebrand that shit on me in Australia last year to how to go and fuck me. So I was actually the problem child in my whole company. And so I was like, Craig, it's not unfuck myself, it's unfuck the company.
Oh, wow.
Actually, and fuck everything that we created, because we had spent 2 years going from an aggressive schedule to a massively aggressive. We were looking at publishing 400 stories in 2019.
In 1 year.
Yeah. So we took 2018 to get prepared to be able to do that in 2019. So by that time, we had broke damn near everything we could have. We had a bunch of duct tape all over the company, trying to make sure that we had. So what we were doing in 2020 was actually was taking the duct tape and actually building the appropriate response to that. And we got maybe 80% of the way there, I think. And so 2021, we've got a little bit more to do, but we're much better off from having tested the company that hard. And that was on purpose. It wasn't accidental. The 400 books was a goal, but the real goal behind it for me was, how do we get to be the best company we can as fast as we can? And the answer is always, you produce more, in my opinion, mind you, hashtag probably, you produce enough product to find the mistakes as fast as you can. That's what worked for us. For others, it might be to sit down and think about it for 2 months and to really kind of plan it out. But for me, it's like, put those books out, figure out what the mistakes are. How do we fix those mistakes? And so, by the time we finished with 2019, we had well over 700, into the 800, getting close to 800 books that we had published in just 4 years. And when you put that much knowledge into 4 years, you learn quite a few things that others just can't learn. We'd been to China twice. We'd been to London 3 times. We've been to Frankfurt 3 times, I think. BEA, we had done so much that we have now. The company has an amount of knowledge that is hard for others to grasp.
And that came at a certain expense. And there's
Yeah.
some people said that you're simply failing faster.
Yes.
Because it's to improve the cycle. Amateurs talk tactics, professionals talk logistics, and one thing that LMBPN has done is create that infrastructure from within which the company operates. Because without that infrastructure, you can have all that you want, but 400 covers do not come cheaply, and they don't come quickly. 400 edits, 400, all of that. 400 sets of metadata, 400 sets of proofreaders, 400. You take those numbers and you try to think to what individuals are doing, and you see that, holy crap, I published a book a week in 2019 for the first 30 weeks of the year, and that was about killing me. I had enough infrastructure to make it work, but that was it was a significant challenge, and the revenue didn't follow like I had expected. So this is something that I was pseudo prepared for, but I had to pull the plug on that and go back to my wheelhouse, what I'm good at, which is my books once a month, and the revenue. 30 books in the first 30 weeks, and the last 22 weeks I published, I think, 5 books, and I made as much in those last half as I did in the first half, simply because my books, right? I didn't overwhelm my readers. I gave them what they wanted, and it went well. So 2021, for me, what's different is it's going to be my books. I will be publishing somebody, but I'm not going to co-author stuff in 2021, except for what I'm doing with Jean Ray, because she is a pleasure to work with. She's been a professional author for over 30 years with all kinds of trad contracts, and has done very, very well. So she is helping me be a better writer. She is just a joy to work with, and she delivers on time. There's no dicking around. She gives a good product, a good chapter. I take it, I edit her chapter, I write my chapter, send it to her. She edits my chapter, writes the next chapter. It is going really well. We're getting 2 a week, and it's working really, really well. So besides that, it's going to be all my books. So I've committed to 3 books with Ethan. I've got 2 more books to write in a series called Xenophobia, because that didn't answer the email for Ethan. So there's 5 books. I've got at least 2 to 4 Judge, Jury, and Executioner books. I've got at least 1 more Ian Bragg book. I have a lot of books that need written next year because of this revenue stream and building that up. Now I have enough of a backlist to advertise. So marketing, we had a discussion yesterday, James and I, about what do we want to put on sale in January, in February, how are we going to juice that, and we're keeping driving on the building my own newsletter. So 2021 is more of what we did in 2020 to realize the success of 2020. Judge, Jury, and Executioner and The Operator, those 2 series are going to be the big ones that will carry most of 2021, along with the military sci-fi that we'll publish probably in the fall of 2021, to vacuum up some of those readers with some good guts and gory glory of the battlefield kind of sci-fi. Should be able to write that fast, and I have high hopes that I can. And once again, we're not going to be traveling a whole lot in 2021, at least the first part of it. So we'll get done what we can in writing.
And then for mine, to follow up the last part on 2021, what's different, we're finishing a little bit of the plans for 2020, but also it's to put resources in place to, in my case, allow me to get to the part like Craig is learning or has learned and implemented, doing the parts I do best. So let's learn what's going on there. I mean, I do not do some of these things that a typical president of a larger company needs to do. We're a multi-seven-figure company. We have a lot of people that work within the parts of LMBPN, and the reality is, while it's impressive and it does the ego to be like, this is the person, I'm making these decisions, that's not the best decision for the company. There are others who have the skill, the talent, the knowledge, the industry wherewithal to take aspects of what I do and do it better, and I'm going to find the person to help do that.
And finding the right help, that's important. That's really important.
Will they increasingly sell books? Sure, there's no really hard part. The question is, will they do more ebooks of their own and sell it from their websites? Because that then gets you back to the wide versus KU question, and that's, everybody has to answer that one for themselves. Now, we LMBPN, we're wide audio, like we're not Audible exclusive anymore on any of our new products. We just go straight to wide. But from an ebook perspective, we're still heavily KU on ebooks.
I on my website, actually, Rob has. I now have a plug-in on my website. I can sell my books directly for those books that are not in KU, ebooks directly from my website. So that is something new that I'll explore with some of my books that aren't exclusive to KU, like Successful Indie Author. I can sell that directly off my website. 100% of the revenue is mine off an ebook title on my website. So that's a new thing, and we'll see how that works, because there's nothing like getting 100% of the royalties from your work.
And that's really, there's a lot of opportunities related to that. I do know that we are producing ebooks or producing stories that we are going to go wide with. We're going to have a Santa story that we are bringing out 99-cent wide only, that we could do this to. So I could see us getting there, but in general, most of our books are still killing it in Kindle Unlimited.
Let's see. Is there something that's really working for you right now that you didn't expect?
I think there was something I can say that as a reminder. I went through some of our numbers, and that is finding the product that most closely is associated with what your fans want. I work with a lot of collaborators, and I tried to explain to some of them that, this isn't exactly what the fans want, but they're very aggressive on, this is what I want to write. And I'm like, I'm not exactly sure why you're collaborating with me, but okay, I'm willing to go down this path with you. Just recognize that we're not going to be able to market it the best. And for the most part, it's all been true. And yet the series that's killing it right now is the one that most closely is appropriate to our original ethos and the fans who came to LMBPN.
Yeah, I've seen that, and that's why I went away from the co-authoring to just write my own stuff, because this is what my readers want. And I get that foundation of sales, and I can push it, I can promote it, and it sells my other books, the other backlist. Why have a 100-book backlist that doesn't relate to any of the other books you write? That doesn't make any sense. So having all of them together, at least a shared theme, even if that theme is something different, like justice. I know Michael and I share that a lot in our books, and it crosses over. Even if they're a little bit different genre, it's still, this character is doing this, justice is driving them, honor, and those things that the readers like. So we're delivering to the readers. And this is, I'm not selling out, because I love writing this stuff. I love writing Judge, Jury, and Execution. Like I said, I wrote 10,000 words in 3 days while doing a bunch of other stuff. and it flows so easily, and it's going to deliver for the readers. They're going to like it. It helps promote the whole series. So I get to write what I like, and it sells well. It's
Hey, so
easy to market.
let me go back to that comment. I recognize that you threw it from a different perspective, but it's not selling out. Who the fuck cares? I mean, let me
No,
go back to that, because not you. I recognize you didn't say this in this particular method, but it is something I hear a lot. So and so is a sellout. So and so is this. I'm sorry, that's the person who's calming and claiming they're a sellout. That's their freaking problem, not the person who
yeah,
chose to do what they chose to, for
yep.
whatever reason they chose to do it. So from me on my own, soapbox, which I don't get a chance to get on anymore, but from me from my own standbox, I don't effing care if you call me a sellout, because I've always been upfront. I want fans who want to reread my stories and make money. And if you don't like that part of making money because you objectively can't do it because you choose to do something else and therefore you choose to judge me, screw you. And there we go.
Blunt and straightforward words. But the sellout, that's writing something that you're not comfortable with, and saying, hey, I need to do this to make
Yeah.
money. I know ghostwriters will do that because, like, okay, hey, whatever. Editors,
So
my editor.
let's go back to that. I'm apparently not off of this subject. So you're telling me that a person who's an engineer is a sellout because they sell their services for the skills and the ability they have. They're a sellout because they don't use that engineering and only do it for themselves. Is that a sellout? No. Then why is a person who writes a sellout if they choose to use their skills and not take the risk that a person who has to do the marketing and everything else, because they can still lose their ass, and I have. Don't talk to me about romance.
Yeah.
On the situation.
Now, an engineer, if you are engineer and you're a big fan of peace and you get hired by a company that makes weapons, what do? That's got to create some conflict within your mind. And this is ghostwriters. If you're a ghostwriter who loves writing romance and you get hired to write a dark horror, but it's like, hey, well, it's a job, I'm going to do it, but that's not what you want to write, and it gives you the willies and nightmares. That's what I mean by crossing out and selling out. It's you're doing something that you're violently opposed to. That'd be like me trying to write horror. I just
apologize.
absolutely
Once
will have
again,
none
it
of it.
wasn't to you. It was just that phrase that,
Yeah.
set me off.
So ghostwriter, write what you're good at, and try to push that. Don't I mean, sometimes you got to take the job, but then that's you want to get out of that as fast as you can. It's like people who have the day job that they hate and their writing is making good money. It's like, why are you staying in that day job if you're making full-time money and then some with writing? So,
oh man, there's some stories I could tell on that one. Foot and mouth disease that I had. So there's an interesting question, selfish question here from Justin. Who would you consider the best or better sci-fi fantasy indie publishers? At first, I read that as authors, and I thought, well, that's very subjective, actually. But publishers, who are top three that is not either myself or you, Craig, that you would care to talk with? And I'll say that, here are three that I talk to often. I talk to Jasper Jaffe over in England. I talk to Mike Bray here in Las Vegas, and I talk to Dakota Kraut with with his company, who I keep getting him and James confused all the damn time.
Yeah. I actually, Chris Kennedy Publishing, he has published 61 books already this year, and that's all 100% science fiction, a little bit of romance because his wife is honchoing some romance stuff. And there's Ethon Publishing, who they published Udanja's book and got Nathan Fillion to narrate it. So it's narrated by Nathan Fillion, which is the only ebook he's ever narrated, just because he had downtime in his schedule, and they had worked with him and gotten that, and gotten Richard Fox. His business is growing, but it's still his world. It's not like Ethon, which is taking people in other worlds. There's a lot of good folks out there who are expanding, and Ethon published 100 books this year. All kinds of great stuff. Jan Chaney had expanded, but then contracted a little bit because the effort, I think he was growing old before his time, and that wasn't really what he wanted to do. So it's a significant amount of effort that these folks have to put into. It's a massive mountain that you have to have your ducks in a row to start that journey, because it takes a lot of money. Like Michael's 400 books. So that's a book a day. How long does it take to get your royalties? If a book's selling, well, that's 60 to 90 days roughly. And guess what? So for 4 months to 6 months, you've got editing and cover costs that aren't being repaid for.
That's a rolling 4 to 6 months. So you have month 2, you have all the books from month 1 you're carrying and month 2 that you're carrying, and it's a Mountaindale. Dakota Crowd is Mountaindale Press.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I can't say that they're best or better, because I actually don't pay attention to what's out there. I'm just saying these are the people I talk to. I also talk to, due to Craig, I talk to Kevin J. Anderson and his company all the time.
Yep.
Well,
WordFire, yeah, absolutely.
WordFire. I do talk because J.N. Chaney is here in town. He and I just had lunch a couple of weeks ago, so I talked to him quite a bit. So these aren't people that I wouldn't say they are some of them on top of the game. I just don't rank anybody because I don't necessarily. I've had breakfast with Chris Kennedy because of Craig at last year's 20 books. Fantastic individual. The guy at Ethon, I can't.
Rhett Bruno.
Rhett Bruno.
Rhett
I've
Steve.
been on a podcast. I'd love to talk more to Rhett. I just don't ever pick up the phone. I'm just not that much of a gregarious guy, but I'd love to talk more to him. I just don't. So Chris Fox, I'd probably talk to him. We talked in passing before. I'd talk to him more, but I just don't.
There are a lot of good people out there. So the best sci-fi, Andy, the one who will take your book, the one who will take your book and help you become a better author and with a better understanding of the business. And this is one thing LMBPN does is they anticipate that people are going to come in, write for them, and then leave. So you get to learn, satisfy your contract, and learn, and then, hey, move on. It's okay. It really is. So companies that will help you grow as an author, those are good companies. And actually, I'm publishing a guy, Native American. He lives up in Arctic Village. Okay, you look up Arctic Village on a map. It's inside Anwar, the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge. He is like 250 miles north of me in a village of 150 people that you can't get to. There's no road to it. And he's written sci-fi. So I brought him on board. I did pay in advance because it's just the situation is, hey, this is good. I've got the first book. It's off to an editor. I hired an editor for 3 books, and we're moving forward. Hey, it's a good opportunity for him. It's something that I feel the need to, especially for that he is a native Alaskan, 100% Athabascan, and good on him for going down this journey, down this road of writing sci-fi because of his high school teacher who said, hey, here, I think you'd like this, and gave him a bunch of books from his own personal library, Heinlein, Norton, Clark, Asimov, and said, here, read these, and he loved them. And ever since then, he wanted to be a sci-fi author. So,
no, that wasn't you, Elaine, so that you get off of that worry. And the answer, I was going to answer this, Layla. I appreciate your question. I think looking at it historically is because I was going after what I thought would be, oh God, this is so effing embarrassing. I mean, just to have to go through this, Craig, why? Which, so the answer was, there was the big thing, reverse.
So you don't forget and think that you can do romance ever again.
Probably
because you told me, so many times. You told me if I ever suggest doing romance, tell me to stop. I'm doing that.
So I remember listening to a podcast, walking over. This is why I don't listen to podcasts anymore. They make me write romance. So I was walking to New York from my condo for breakfast one morning, and so I'm listening to all this reverse harem stuff. I'm like, oh man, so reverse harem, and I'm going through the dopamine hits, right? I'm going through the psychology of why reverse harem works in my mind, and I'm like, I totally understand why it does, and the same thing for harem for that matter. And I said, but so I'm going to build a reverse harem with, a team and everything else. And so I go through it. But the problem is I have mental gymnastics trying to believe that either two things would happen. One, that a bunch of alpha males would actually get along with the same female. That doesn't compute for me whatsoever.
I don't see it. I don't
Yeah,
see it.
I don't see it. So I couldn't grasp my head around that. So I had to change it. So, and there was one other one that escapes me at the moment, but the short answer is I changed the tropes to fit what I thought would work for me to be able to believe it, which obviously then didn't fit the tropes of what's out there. So that was a problem.
That's a big problem. You have to
I've
believe.
lost. Last time I checked, I think I'm still $14,000 down on that project. So this is a perfect example of people making money and the individual spending it still doesn't have any of it back.
Yeah, it's just you have to embrace the tropes no matter what, whether you think they're believable or not. You have to embrace them, and that's just accept it and move on, and that's how you do well in that genre. So here's one. This is an interesting question. I have an unpublished backlist of 55 books. Holy crap! Plan to rapid release. Should I start with the oldest one? I would say if you have 55 books, I would publish the best one of the first in a series. I wouldn't go back to the oldest one because it may not be the best representation of your work. At this point in time, since you have all of these books, I would try to find traction. What is my best series and hit book one?
Yeah, I mean, I without asking more questions, I see where you're coming from, Craig, because typically what you and I would do if we were standing in front of the person, we'd start asking them, what's your budget? What are your genre? Are they cross genre? If they're all within the romantic suspense that you have, is this something that is a series, or is it actually 55 singletons? Is it comprise some of the others? If you're looking at, is it wide versus KU? If you're KU, you might do a box set in order to be able to get quite a few of your older ones so that you reduce your cover costs, you reduce your advertising spend, you get more income. Yeah, you read through, you get people hooked into you. You have to have at least 6-ish. I mean, what's the new width of author page on Amazon so that you see there's more than enough of these books. You can go to the second page. It used to be 5 or 6. I don't know if it still is.
It all depends on your screen size because sometimes I have to blow my stuff up and I get 4, anywhere from 4 to 5 for me on my screen.
Okay. So let's say you want to publish probably at least 6, because if you just publish 1, you're going to take 6 months to get to number 6. I would set up pre-orders that go out from here to eternity. And as far as I can, I wouldn't wait 4 years to publish all 55 books. But that's me. Remember, fans who want to reread my stories and make money. So what's your goal? If your goal is basically just be able to run the company for 3 years without writing so much, I'd change things. I would totally change my answers.
Yeah.
So
and then budget is a big thing because 55 books need 55 covers, 55 sets of edits, all kinds of stuff that need to be done to prepare 55 different sets of metadata, which means 55 blurbs. That's cool. 55. You can do that in like 3 hours.
Don't always believe the crap coming out of Craig's mouth.
Now that I've dropped that
don't.
Grenade. Truth grenade.
Well, yeah, but grenade hurts you too. Mr. Grenade is not your friend either when you let go of it.
I know Brian Meeks, he takes 1 to 3 hours for a single blurb. So
that's a style. I'm not arguing it might or might not be the best one.
But 55 books, you got 55 blurbs to write. No matter how long they take, 55 of anything is a metric butt ton of stuff.
Anyway, yeah, but 55 books, I'd actually find it quite, if someone were to drop 55 books, obviously in genre, that would be fun. That's a mental exercise. So have fun with that. Congratulations on 55 books.
Different approaches you can take. And romantic suspense, that's one of the genres that my Ian Bragg thriller series seems to have traction in. So I have 1 book that is going into romantic
54
suspense.
to go, man. Chop, chop.
So here's on this. I answered this last week in a post on 20 books. How many hours a day do I write? Me personally, I write 2 to 3 hours and get my shooting for 2,500 words nowadays. But with judge, jury, and executioner, I wrote for an hour and got 1,200 words. So if I can focus for 3 hours, I can get well more than 3,000 words on my judge, jury, and executioner series.
And on mine, it can depend on what's going on. If I'm because my writing takes everything, right? Author notes, book beats, and just everything that goes along with writing for the company itself. So I don't know is the answer to that question. If I'm writing straight on all day long, it can be 6,000. If I've got meetings all day long, the answer is 0.
Yeah,
So
I can't write all day long anymore. I wrote my biggest was 22,000 words in 28 hours, and I won't ever do that again. 10,000 words a day, I don't see doing that either, because there's a certain part of where my eyes, I just want to go blind. So 5,000 is a good day. I can get to 7,000 if I'm writing a consistent scene. And I do agree that Michael should publish the worst romance ever in a gold-foiled hardback.
Elaine, that's so accurate.
Put the whole trilogy in one cover. You can do it. Combine the whole thing into.
Do the trilogy, and it's 4 books. But sure, let's do the trilogy. We'll just go ahead and cut out the last one.
Nobody will miss it. It seems.
It's what this is going to become. What was the movie that came out that is like so horrible it's become a cult classic? Oh gosh. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah. Your own Mystery Science Theater 3000 book. You've got it.
Signed and numbered. Okay, Lawrence, you and Elaine are not allowed to talk together in Slack
ever. And so, hey, look, it's been 65 minutes. We talked about some stuff. We answered some questions. 2021 is. Let's focus on our strengths. It's going to be a great year, but focusing on our strengths. Yeah. This is minimize our weaknesses, find people to do the things that we don't have to do ourselves. Like for me, I have to write my books. There's absolutely no doubt about that. That's what my readers expect. That's what also gives me a lot of joy. And taking care of 20 books to 50K, of course, making sure that we're steering the boat in the right direction for the most people to do the best by them. And that's what 20 books, that's what will be for me for 2021. Still trying for Madrid, still trying for Roadshow March, but I don't think that we'll be getting enough vaccines. That March may not happen, but still, I want to drive Vegas to.
Hey, you need to let me know the dates so that I can block those out. Next thing you know, I'll be scheduled for some shit.
And let's go do some stuff. Yeah. And then June, hopefully we'll be able to go to Spain for a month. And if we can, hopefully they'll let foreigners in and we can do a show. Otherwise, Vegas 2021, Bali's in November. That is on in full speed, because by November, I think at least 50% of the United States, or at least 25 to 30% last I saw from current distribution methodologies, will have access to the vaccine of the most vulnerable people in order to put a big stymie on the virus. So we should be way good.
So when is this whole Bali thing going on? Since this is news to me.
Bali's in Vegas.
Bali's. I'm like, when did we go to Bali again?
Yeah, no. Bali's Las Vegas on the Strip, baby. And you saw that, maybe?
Yeah. I've been there, but I just Bali's was a fantastic opportunity. I wouldn't say I'd like to go back there again.
No, not heading back anytime soon, because we can't go down there.
I know that's where we are. To put it together, my mind is not working here. Bali is going to be amazing.
So if absolutely nothing else, we are on for Vegas. That's where we're going to make that happen. It's going to be a great time. And we're going to learn a lot of shit, a lot of great stuff. Going to meet a lot of great people. And we're going to unleash indies upon the world.
All right. Everyone, have a fantastic weekend. Signing off from Henderson.
Thank you, everybody, for signing in. Talk to you later.